Okay, so this is an essay on why I believe robots is capitalist propaganda. Um, so yeah, I watched this film a lot when I was younger, like when it came out, and I recently rewatched it for the first time in a long time, and I picked up on a lot of themes and stuff that I didn't notice, like when I was a kid. So the movie was written by these three people: Babalu Mandel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Actually, I don't really care. Lowell Gantz, David Lindsay Aber, and it had a budget of 75 million. It earned a total of 262 million worldwide. So it was financially successful. And you know what? It actually is a good film. Like, it's enjoyable to watch. I like it. The purpose of this essay isn't to hate on it. Like, I actually think it's a fun film. And when I say it's capitalist propaganda, I'm not actually saying that it's anything out of the ordinary. I'm not saying that it's anything unique. I'm not saying there's something uniquely terrible or evil about Robots 2005, because it's par for the course, really. Once you pick up on these themes, you can't just not notice them. But it's robots that's in the my line of fire, basically. So it's the one that's catching strays, basically. I need to critique it. So yeah, it's a 3D animated movie, and it is funny. It's got a charming style. It's got these robots. It's got a really great like cast, like a lot of recognizable names, big names, and names that were big at the time. And there's just a few. So you got Ewan McGregor, Halle Berry, Mel Brooks, Robin Williams. Robin Williams doesn't even appear on like the top voice actors on the IMDb page. That's how many like well-known voice actors there is, that even Robin Williams doesn't actually appear unless you click on show more voice actors. But yeah, Paula Abdul, Jennifer Coolidge, Amanda Bynes. There's a lot of people here. So yeah, basically why I believe it's capitalist propaganda. Essentially, I do believe that it defends. It's a mirror of the system that we live in the real world. That is capitalism. So basically, yeah. So it's a mirror of that, and yeah, it includes. It's about robots and stuff, and they live in Robot City or whatever. But it's like it's a mirror of like actual real people and real stuff that's going on. Like, we can see that, and I do believe the film defends the system that we live in. And this does what, like, there's so many movies do, which is it does acknowledge, it does make acknowledgements of the unfairness, and it does make like concessions. I think, is that the right phrase? But like they have to admit, like, yeah, a lot of this stuff is messed up. There's so much inequality. There's a lot of suffering here. It's not easy, like, because people know that. I'm sure if they could, they would tell you everything's great for everyone. But people know that's not true. So they have to make some concessions. They have to show in media that, yeah, we understand your pain. We feel your pain. You can't sweep under the rug. So that's what this film does. And it also is kind of sneaky, because it makes you think like, oh, this film is really on the side of the people. It's really these people that wrote this movie and this company that released it. Like, yeah, they seem to really get it. They understand things aren't fair. So in making concessions, and the admitting that it's unfair, they're also being sneaky and getting us to kind of like trust them and trust their message. So it's like it's like two birds with one stone, basically, when they do that. So yeah, and that's one thing as well. So and this is my view, I believe the media industry is simply one arm of the system. I don't view like Hollywood or any movie industry, even here in the UK, as being like this totally separate thing. Like, I view it as part of the system, and like, what is the system? Well, you can talk about, well, it's the big money. It's the big banking, systems, like the governments, the defense industry, the three-letter agencies, tech companies, that sort of thing. And it's so basically, I view the media as like one extension of that. This is the media department of the system. And then they put out, films that like robots. Like I'm saying, like well, I do think, I do enjoy them. I do see them for what they are, and that is, it's designed as a kind of, do I want to say mind control? Yeah, kind of. They are trying to control the narrative through media, and I like to think that if robots was made now, people would see through it more. But I don't know if that's true. But this is also another film that came out around this time, The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, and that's a good film. Again, I'm not saying these are bad films. Like, they're great films. There's a lot of great craftsmanship that went into them, great acting, everything. But again, that also has themes of showing that yes, we understand things are unfair, but if you just work really, 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 really hard, you'll make it. But that cannot be true for everybody. It can't. So yes, I believe that you could also call this like, it's like damage control. This is like damage control tier in terms of what they're doing. It's like, we know you're pissed off, but look, things can change. We get it. So basically, this film is about a robot called Rodney Copperbottom, who is voiced by Ewan McGregor, and he does a great job. So comes from a poor family. His dad is a dishwasher. Like, the way that his dad as a robot is made, like, he's literally a dishwasher. Like, he's got like a dishwasher in his stomach. It's a very quirky film. And he's getting tired, he's getting old. His family are they're not wealthy. And so it does show like a kind of class struggle. And Rodney really, he struggles with this stuff. Obviously, it's not nice, but he also believes in the system because he's been fed with this propaganda his whole life. That is that a lot of that comes from Big Weld. This guy called Big Weld he's the top guy at Big Weld Industries, and he's this like kind of benevolent, kind of kind capitalist. He represents a kind of kind capitalism, and he talks about like, oh, you can make it, anybody can make it, I made it. You know what I mean? Like, Big Weld Industries, we're great here, we're nice people, we want to hear your ideas, you can come work for us. So Rodney grew up like being like, I want to be an inventor, I want to invent some cool stuff, I'm going to make a lot of money, work for Big Weld, whatever, and just try to make things better for my family and make things better, for the future. So he believes it, and why wouldn't he? Like, why would he know any better? So he doesn't have all the information. He knows what he's been told through the system. So it's like, so Big Weld net represents that higher echelon of society, the people who are rich, basically, and Big Weld really represents, and I don't even know if Big Weld as a person, as a robot, actually knows, or on a conscious level, I don't know if he actually knows that, yeah, I'm doing propaganda right now. Like, I'm putting stuff out there that, that benefits the system, keeps the system going smoothly, telling people things that aren't true, telling people that everybody can make it, telling people that all you need is good ideas and hard work, and this is not true. Sometimes that is true, and that's actually the thing. Like, in real life, sometimes that is true. Sometimes, for some people. But that doesn't mean everybody can make it, so basically that's Big Weld's motto. Like, if you got great ideas and you work hard, you can make it, everything's great, I'm smiling, we're all smiling, it's all good here. And it reminds me a lot of stuff you see, like maybe like online now, like Diary of a CEO, which I can't stand. And just lock in, bro. Just get a side hustle, bro. You're just not working hard enough, bro. like a billionaire grind set, bro. You got a hustle max. You know what a hustle max in, bro? You got a hustle max. You got a podcast max. You got a self-help book max. You got to idea max. Just do more and more. Work harder. Work harder. Have you seen the latest episode of Diary CEO? You got this rich guy on there saying that, he's telling you how you can get rich as well. You got to check it out. It's big weld shit, basically. It's just big weld stuff. It's big weld tier. It doesn't matter how many podcasts you listen to, how many like self-help books you listen to, whatever. It's not gonna just magically make money in your bank account. So yeah, it's like, like a lot of people, and like I'm going off on a tangent here, so I'm going to go to the next part of the essay, but yeah, so big weld does represent like kind capitalism, or the face of kind, quotation marks, capitalism. And I don't think Big Weld is even that bad. Like I'm saying, I don't think he is a bad robot. I think he probably is a nice robot that actually maybe does believe what he's saying, but that doesn't mean that it's not propaganda, though. And one point in propaganda is that it's not necessarily untrue. Like, I think, like, if people deconstruct their understanding of the word propaganda, I think some of the things that might come up would be, first of all, it's what the other side does. This is what the enemy country does. This is what the enemy political party does. This is what the enemy class does, is they do propaganda. And when they do it, we can recognize it. And that propaganda is not true. They're saying things just to get in their head. But the actual reality is that propaganda is often most effective when it tells you things that actually are true. So a lot of propaganda is maybe things that aren't true, but a lot of it is. And a lot of it is also coming from like everywhere, like all sides, So that's just a wee side note on propaganda. That people or systems or country or political party, whatever that you support and you believe in, also does propaganda, So just a wee caveat there. I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah. So basically, it's like I think Big Weld as well really represents kind of like the part. I need to look this up. I should have looked up before, but I think Big Weld. Yeah, so Big Weld made it. So he believes people can make it. Why wouldn't he believe that? I understand, like, he made it, so he believes everybody can make it. So he's out there telling everybody, you can make it, just work hard. Because that's what he believes. And like I'm saying, sometimes it's true, but for the vast majority of people, it's not. Even if they work really, really hard, and even if they have really great ideas, and even if they try start a business, or they climb the corporate ladder or whatever, if they're able to even do that, if they're able-bodied, neurotypical, intelligent, or whatever, even most people like that are still going to struggle unless they've had like a lot of support or whatever. So, and it's like, so yeah, like sometimes, like I think there's people in the system or the media or whatever, and it's like the ones that started off like poor and it ended up rich, sometimes they can be like the best spokespeople for the system. Sometimes they can be the best propaganda for the system. And I think the system loves to prop these people up and go like, look, they did it. They made it. And they're going to come out with their books and all that, going like, yes, you can do it as well, So, and there's a lot of people like that, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. So, basically, yeah, it is true that capitalism is very good at generating wealth. It's a system that does generate wealth, like very good, probably better than any other system. And, like I believe it's like not everything is completely black and white. So like obviously there are maybe some good things about capitalism, I will say it, but it also creates massive wealth inequality. So even if it's generating lots of wealth, it doesn't mean that wealth is actually going to be like very evenly distributed. And the biggest cheerleaders of capitalism will always tell you like it's generating wealth and the stock market go up, line go up. I'm like, yeah, but like that's not translating into real like wage growth and life improvements for people, So Um, Basically, it's like so like you do have a chance to make it very big under capitalism, but a lot of that involves being at the right place at the right time, as well as working sometimes you not working hard if you're born in the right family, whatever. But okay, let's say you work hard, you got great ideas, and you make it. There's so much luck that went into that as well, and even Warren Buffett has acknowledged that. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people ever, like he did say, it's like, he basically said it's like he's doing uh like an interview podcast thing, and Jay-Z was on it. Something basically Warren was saying, yeah, like I was born like at the right time, at the right place. He said I was born like a white man, mid 20th century, coming up mid 20th century, late 20th century. I was intelligent, I was directed in the right place at the right time, I found the right information, I made the right choices. He said like there's so much obviously that like goes into it. So you can't just say that like all it takes hard work, because there's so much variables, and like I'm saying, even Warren Buffett admits that. So I think it's good for him to admit that. I'm thinking of a person quite well known here called Duncan Bannatyne, and he was on this TV show called Dragon's Den. I think it was Dragon's Den, which I hated. I really didn't like it. He has a book literally called Anyone Can Do It. And he's exactly the kind of person that I'm talking about, that is like someone who was more like poor or whatever, and then managed to like build up a company and get rich. So they really believe in the system more than anybody. And that's why they're the best spokespeople for the system. Basically, I'm not even talking about robots that much right now. But I'm going to get back to that. So basically, so Rodney Copperbottom, obviously he wants to be an inventor. You see him growing up, you see him when he's like a kid, and he grows up and he's like, okay, I'm grown now, I'm ready to kind of, go out into the world. He wants to go to Robot City, the very creatively named Robot City, to be an inventor. So so he leaves his hometown. He seeks out Big World Industries, and then he finds out that things aren't the way that he was told that they were. He finds out that real life is way harsher and way more unfair than what the media had told him with these fairy tales that they spun. So he goes out to Big World Industries. He knocks on the door, literally, basically. He goes up to the door. It's this big, massive door. Basically, they tell him to fuck off, basically. And Copperbottom's like, oh, Big World wouldn't do that. Big World wouldn't do me like that. No, Big World's nice. So what's going on? I got these great ideas. I know Big World, is nicer than this. So why am I here being told, like to go away? So we find out Big World Industries has been taken over by this evil robot called Phineas T. Ratchet. And Phineas, I love his design as well. It's really great design here. It just really depicts really clearly so much like about him. Like you could just instantly tell like so much about him. I mean, he looks like the Terminator in a suit, basically. And so Rodney undercovers basically a secret plot that we find out through them showing us that Phineas has this plot to basically cancel and no longer produce upgrades and spare parts that are affordable for like the underclass, which is I think most robots. Like they're literally going to fall apart and die basically if they don't get these affordable replacement parts. And Phineas is like, well, we're not going to do that anymore. I think it's assumed or implied that no other company does make those parts. So basically everybody's going to die. And he's wanting to just sell stuff that only like the super rich can afford, like really, really fancy robot upgrade parts. So basically he's super, super evil. He's like, he doesn't care. So, and to me, basically he's just supercharging or he's speed running capitalism to its end game point, which is that the complete inequality, complete like the creation of a permanent underclass with absolutely no class mobility or economic mobility at all. It's just done. It's just done. They pulled the rope up, they pulled the ladder up, and that's it. It's game over. It's game over. So basically, that's what Phineas wants to do. So before, when Big Weld was in charge, I believe Big Weld, yeah, like I'm saying, represented a kind of more kinder, more fair capitalism that offers a bit more fairness or whatever. So I believe under that system, basically it's the same end goal, but under Big Weld it was just happening at a slower rate, whereas Phineas just unmasked the system and just stopped pretending that it was something other than what it was. And in a way, I think Phineas is more honest than Big Weld. I think that he's more aware of I think Big Weld knows deep down. I think Big Weld is cowardly. He wouldn't admit it. He's like, no, the system's good. He doesn't want to admit the system's rotten. But Phineas just doesn't give a shit. So he's just saying that, yeah, basically, yeah, we're just, we're going to speed things up, so capitalism unmasked, basically, the system unmasked. And maybe the system is larger than capitalism. Maybe capitalism is just one facet of the system. I don't know, but Phineas was supercharging it. And it was basically openly admitting, we don't care. We're not going to pretend anymore. We're done pretending. We're done putting on, a smiley face. We're done, just making concessions. I think he realized, why do we have to do that? These people are powerless. These robots are powerless, so we don't need to do it. So let's just get on with it. So I think that's what he was doing. Like I'm saying, I respect the honesty there. So basically, I think that's a shift from, I think that represents the system, the change from a system by consensus, or at least a system by perceived consensus, versus a system by brute force or openly brute force. Basically, that shift between, and I'm not being super eloquent here, but the system being yeah, we're all into this, basically, we're all kind of agreeing to this system, yeah, pretending that it was a system by choice, and then to just openly admitting that no, this is not good for you, but we don't care, we're not pretending anymore, so we're just going to openly admit that we're using force here and things aren't good for you. So it's just done pretending, So does the movie basically, and this is a nuance here that I think is important, does the movie critique the brutality of Big Weld Industries as run by Phineas, the Phineas era of Big Weld Industries? Or does the movie critique the whole system that the robots live under, which existed before Phineas even, got into power? Because those are two different things, Is this movie about the system, or is it about Phineas? So I believe that it is both. And this is important because you can see how harsh things were for the Copper Bottom family and when he was growing up, when Rodney was growing up. And this was back when I assume Big Weld was in power, and things were still very, very harsh. And you can see in Robot City as well, there's so much poverty with the robots and things are so hard for them. So these are systemic issues that exist way beyond Big Weld Industries and exist way beyond Phineas and whatever he's doing. It's this is baked into the system, real inequality and real suffering. So the movie shows you all of that stuff. So the movie is critiquing the system. It's not just critiquing the bad direction that Big Weld Industries went under the direction of Phineas. It's doing more than that. So the movie is admitting that the whole system is rotten. So So basically, although Phineas Ratchet is the main villain, that the pain and the suffering in the system is not created exclusively by him. So therefore, by removing him, and he does get removed in the end, it's not like it's one big happy ending, right? You wouldn't think that it would be depicted as like a happy ending, like, okay, Phineas is gone, Big Weld is back, okay. So you might think it's depicted as, okay, it's a bit better, like at least people can get their spare parts, but it's still not like super amazing, things are still really bad, but that's not actually how it's depicted. There is a big happy ending, basically all singing, all dancing, like things are fantastic. So this is a film in a twisted way that it has a good ending. It has a happy ending. Like canonically, like I think it's canon that yes, this is a happy ending, but the system remains. Like the system did not get torn down. Like the movie spends all this time showing you how unfair the system is, only for the end just to kind of keep the system, but just go, oh well, things aren't as bad anymore because we got rid of Phineas, and Big Weld says, he's going to bring back, like, he's going to make things a bit nicer again. So, but that's literally what happens. So it's like they just rearranged the furniture on the Titanic. That's basically what they've done. And then they go, oh, it's great because these tables and these chairs have fallen down because the boat is capsizing, and that is the issue. It's not that the boat is capsizing, everybody's going to drown or freeze to death. That's not the issue. The issue is that like the furniture is all fucked up, and if we can just rearrange the furniture, then that's a happy ending. And that's basically, in my opinion, like what the end of Robots is like. So those systemic issues will continue on after the ending of the movie. And like I said, I believe that Phineas was just speeding up what was already happening. And also, I believe that Phineas was being really economically, like, I don't think like he was making smart decisions, because basically what happens if you get rid of like the whole underclass and you just basically kill them off, then you're creating massive economic problems. The system, you want the system to run smooth. Like it's already working. It's already extracting wealth from the lower class and going into the elites or whatever. It's already doing that. Maybe deep down Big Weld is just better at pretending. Maybe Big Weld is just as sociopathic and evil as Phineas. But Phineas was just too stupid to understand that he had to pretend to not be evil, and that he had to just slow it down a bit, make it a bit less obvious. Big Weld maybe came in and was like, or Big Weld's team or whatever, and it's like, do you understand that you're messing things up for us here, because we got a good thing going here, the stuff that you want to happen, this permanent wealth inequality, permanent underclass, like that is what's happening, and that is what we're working toward. But we got to let them think that it's not. We got to give them some concessions. We got to give them some spare parts. Otherwise they're going to freak out on us. And so maybe Big Weld was just being like good economics, just being pragmatic. So that's why I think maybe Big Weld maybe actually is the main villain of Robots. I don't actually believe it is Phineas. I believe it is Big Weld is actually like more sinister and more evil. Like I'm saying, it's because he's good at pretending that he's not, whereas Phineas actually did a disservice to the system and making it too obvious, because he was too arrogant and he was just too stupid. He's probably like a nepo baby that just didn't understand the world, whereas Big Weld probably understood it better and understood the psychology of the robots better, and then could know how to kind of keep them calm. You know what I mean? As the Titanic went down and they went off with the lifeboats, like that sort of thing. So yeah, basically at the end, Big Weld comes back and he's like, I'm sorry. And he opens the door again and he's like, we just need great ideas and great work ethic. And then you can make it like me. And they're all like, yes, this is great. And that's why I'm really disappointed in Rodney Copperbottom, because from what we can see, he doesn't call it out. He's not like, what's going on? He's not like, hang on a second. Why, after everything I've seen and everything that's happened, why do I trust the system, knowing that something like that could happen again, or that, like maybe put two and two together and realize that It's still happening, but just slower. Like, so I do lose a lot of respect for Rodney Copperbottom at the end of the film. I'm not gonna lie. So basically, yeah. So it's like the system didn't change fundamentally, and it does allow for unchecked power by corporations. And Big Weld, even if Big Weld isn't a sociopath, even if Big Weld is nice, he won't be around forever. Someone's going to come around after him, and this is why I'm against totalitarian systems or whatever like that. So a lot of people, they're super into communism or whatever, and they'll say, "Oh, but it's just never been tried." I mean, it has been tried. It's just gone wrong every time, but that doesn't mean it's not been tried. So even if okay, you say like, okay, we're done with capitalism, so we're going to take all the power, everything, for everything that's going on in the country, all the production, all the food, all the military, whatever, and we're going to place it into like one office, one party, one person. Even if that person is nice and good and they're like, I want to make things good for people, it's only a matter of time till someone else steps in. So even if things are initially good, then it's only a matter of time till they get taken out by someone who's wanting that power, or they die of old age or whatever, or maybe slowly over generations things become more corrupt, or maybe quickly it happens. But basically, this is the danger of having people with unchecked power. And so that's why I'm deeply critical of capitalism and power, but that doesn't mean that basically I don't have the answers. That's what I'm saying. I don't know of a system that allows us to be safe and prosperous, and not have people with unchecked power reigning over us that are sociopaths. I can see the good and bad in different systems. You know what I mean? I really can. So I'm not like completely saying that like I hate one system or I hate another. But basically, I do hate like people with power over us. They can't be trusted. That's the number one thing that I would like to get across in this video, is the people with power cannot be trusted ever. Like ever. Full stop. Period. 100%. Under no circumstance should anyone like have power over us. It's very, very bad. It's very, very dangerous. And in this system, they have power over us with capitalism and other stuff, which I will get to in other videos. Basically, so the robots, are just as powerless as they've ever been. And the movie depicts this as a happy, joyous ending. So why is this a problem? Well, the movie is a mirror of our own society, and yeah, it is depicted as 3D generated robots. Science fiction has always been a tool, like a really powerful tool, to depict real themes, real topics, and real stuff that's actually happening. But so sci-fi and also fantasy, but there are great ways to explore like real life stuff in a way that's more abstracted. Like 3D generated robots who live in Robot City, but it's drawing parallels and mirroring like real systems and real people in the real world, and it's being created by and watched by real people in the real world. So this is very much a movie about the real world. It's just depicted as robots. So that's why I believe it's propaganda, because I think that's the message of the movie. That is that like, okay, things aren't great, but if you get the right people in, things can get a lot better. So what they're saying is don't question the system, don't try to destroy the system, don't rebel against the system. Just ask the system to change. Just see if you can get to change a little bit. Maybe vote in different people, or wait. If you just wait, things get a little bit better, or the system has checks and balances, that these checks and balances like help keep things in order, and that like, well, see, you're not totally powerless after all. If you try really hard, you can get this person out of this company or this office or whatever. But what it's saying is, don't go against the system, because it's not hopeless. Things can be better in the system, but as you can see, if you look beneath the surface, they're just as screwed as they've ever been. So, and when you mirror that to the real world themes, like that's when it gets kind of chilling, or a lot, chilling. So, yeah, and then when you consider like, this was created by, in my opinion, like a branch of the system, like the media branch of the system, for the poors to watch and be influenced by. That's when it becomes very sinister. So this is just my take on robots. So yeah, if you listen to this all the way to the very end, you probably didn't, but yeah, thanks for listening, and yeah, bye for now.